we had to submit our questions by text. And I asked, even just a few months ago, people were getting turned away in some cases, in-person visits canceled. Is that not part of this problem?
I think that's a good question. It's a fair question. Did we contribute to this problem? And the answer is yes.
How do you ensure that these small local chains have websites that are up to the challenge of signing people up for these vaccines?
Well, that's just a conversation that we have with them and let them know that there could be a large demand.
Is there any chance that the University of Utah will be back full-time in person in the fall?
No. We'll be more in person than we are right now.
What is the district doing to address these problems so they can hopefully get fixed?
Yeah, so we are struggling desperately to hire more substitutes.
Does UDOT take another look at some of its public messaging campaigns to see what can be done here?
Absolutely. I think we always have to evolve in how we reach out to people.
The board was fully aware of this lawsuit, correct?
Absolutely.
Were there any misgivings given the litigation?
You know, there weren't. The way we looked at that, I can't speak to what Henry County and their board did throughout that process.
Warrants are preventing people from getting into housing. So why is the city using it as an enforcement strategy?
I wouldn't say the city's using that as an enforcement strategy. Otherwise, I don't think the justice courts would be going mobile.
Do some of her comments strike you as antithetical to the kinds of things that you want to put forward?
Beyond the Book sat down with Governor Spencer Cox.
Well, I'm not familiar with her exact comment.
But racism is an old issue, and we heard from a lot of people this morning reaction to the racism as a public health crisis, saying racism isn't a problem. Doesn't that make it a problem?
It does, unfortunately. It's not as big of a problem as maybe it was back in the 60s.
People come to the Capitol and exercise their rights. I think that's wonderful.
But they're frustrated you won't hear the bill. Will you hear the bill? Will we hear it before the end of the session? And if not, what's the holdup?
Well, it's a work in progress at this point. I'll tell you that.
Can you elaborate on the progress? What's being done?
Well, we're working with stakeholders.
Are they working with you? Are the senators listening to you in this process?
Well, we've heard the same thing, that they're negotiating with us.
Yesterday, you didn't want to say if the bill would be heard. Today, you're saying it will be heard. What changed? Was it the students? What caused the about face?
I think we were trying to work to that. If you heard me yesterday, I didn't say it wouldn't be heard. Hopefully I didn't say that, because I thought we said we were working through the process.
Is it wise to spend this much money in the midst of what is being called a health emergency?
We've taken a long-range approach. That means we're going to be looking at the growth that's coming.
How do you square $2.2 billion in spending and borrowing with we need to be cautious in the midst of the pandemic?
No, that's a great question.
The GOP number 3 in the House mapped the spending plan.
This is actually, in my opinion, the perfect thing to do.
So what specifically in this infrastructure bill is going to minimize, delay, put off the inevitable?
There's a number of things actually happening right now, some in the infrastructure bill and some in some other bills.